Hello and good evening. This is Sudhakar Sharma bringing you the big story of the day. The petrol prices have really been giving a lot of concern to people everywhere because the petroleum price in the national capital hit an all-time high of 84.2 per litre on Thursday after oil marketing companies hiked the price of petrol by 23 paise per litre. Diesel petroleum prices were also hiked by 24 paise, leading to 74.38 per litre. Oil marketing companies had also hiked the prices of petrol by 26 paise per litre and that of the diesel by 25 paise per litre on Wednesday after holding prices constant for 30 days. Concerns are rife that the petroleum prices are nearly reaching 100 rupees per litre because this is going to be very difficult for the people to maintain because it would affect every type of logistics and also different types of the marketing phenomenon are defined by the role of petrol because petrol plays a very clinically very important role in all these transactions, and the price of petrol in Delhi previously hit the 84 per litre mark in October 2008 when international crude prices were above $80 per barrel. Barrel crude is currently priced at 54 per barrel. So this is the dollar price, its highest ever since the crash in crude oil prices due to COVID-19 pandemic in last March. And well, the crux of the problem also could be attributed to the cut in the output which is given by the Saudi Arabian government. So a decision by Saudi Arabia to cut crude oil output by 1 million barrels per day in February and March has also contributed to the hardening of the crude oil prices because once the output is really low, it will be different. The excise duty on petroleum is also 32.98 per litre from 19.98 per litre at the beginning of 2019. Which also actuates and which also results in such kind of activities increase the excise duty on diesel to 31.83 rupees per litre from 15.83 rupees over the same period to boost the government revenues as the economic activity fell due to the pandemic very drastically.
very real personal care, all that awaits at Image Hospitals, which is doing the extraordinary mission of providing succor to the COVID patients.
Initiated into operations with the sole motive to bring much needed medical
In fact, COVID has really played its part in making this type of activities to come, because a number of state governments also hiked the value-added taxes to boost the revenues, which were very badly hit by the low economic activity due to COVID-19 related restriction on the movement of goods from one place to another, and goods and people are also were not allowed to move from one place to another. So all this has brought about a kind of tremendous rise or hike in the quality and also the deployment of all these things. So what is today seen as a kind of hike in the petrol and diesel could well be attributed to this particular period too. Well, the revenues generated out of the petroleum and diesel add to the quantum of both the central and state levies, because central and state levies currently account for about 62% of the retail price of the petrol and around 57% of the retail price of diesel in the national capital. Oil marketing companies are increasing petrol and diesel prices since November 20, because there seems to be a multiple set of factors which are really influencing this type of hike. Well, the fuel prices were really inconsistent and they were fluctuating since a few months prior to the November 20 hike in rates in India, and petrol prices had been static since September 22 and diesel rates hadn't changed since October 2. Now petrol prices have crossed 90 mark in Mumbai while diesel rates went up from 80.23 rupees to 80.5, and so they are really reaching 100. So this is a matter of great concern for everyone, because so much of petroleum and diesel consumption is very necessary, because in India the logistics and other personal requirements for petrol and diesel are really varying. They are really increasing from day to day. Well, there are drastic changes in the international scenario too. In India, fuel prices are benchmarked to a 15-day rolling average of global refined products prices and dollar exchange rate. Rising crude oil prices are thus the biggest reason behind the fuel price increase in India. Benchmark Brent spiked 1.6% to $48.61 per barrel last Wednesday, the highest since March. So all these factors are really contributing either partially or on a different note to this kind of hike which we are presently experiencing across India. Well, the consumers in India are also facing the brunt of the taxes. Taxes also make a big portion of the fuel prices in India. Excise duty and VAT make up 63% of petrol and 60% of diesel prices in India. For instance, in Delhi, when a litre of petrol last sold for 81.06 rupees in Delhi on November 19, consumers paid 51.69 as taxes. At a price of 71.46 rupees a litre for diesel, consumers paid 42.52 in taxes, which is really staggering. So this has to be taken into consideration by the Modi government, and we also await the new budget which is getting really prepared. So that would really be impacted by this kind of hike in the petrol and the diesel prices. And well, this phenomenon has a direct effect upon the central government. High oil prices are also bad news for the government, which is already struggling with a pandemic-induced recession. And to get out of it is really not going to be that easy. Though the government does not buy oil itself, but cheaper oil has a positive impact on the macroeconomic parameters, which reduces drag on the government finances and frees up resources for welfare. So, COVID-19 forced the government to increase the excise duty on petrol and diesel sharply, but one needs to remember that gross tax revenue in 2019-20 had fallen to 9.88% of the GDP thanks to the badly implemented goods and services tax, which is commonly known as GST, and the ill effects of the demonetization. Hence, if the world hasn't been hit by the COVID-19, the government would still have had to increase the excise duty on the petrol and diesel, though the hike wouldn't have been so massive. And well, the COVID-19 has really affected the International oil and natural gas industry as such, given the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the past 12 months have been quite challenging for the oil and gas industry. Global crude demand dropped by about 30% and oil prices had a free fall. The Indian oil and gas industry responded commendably and operated safely during this period. So we must really thank the Modi government for this initiative. Oil fields continued operation, refineries managed huge demand fluctuations without any kind of retailing disturbance, and fuel retaining LPG supplies to more than 250 million households, which is not a small thing, continued uninterrupted. But this kind of activity is really going to have a lasting impression, and it's going to have a kind of a degrading effect upon the whole industry as such. However, the current crisis will have a lasting impact on the industry. This is because the changes in operating models, travel habits, accelerating digitization, and finally urgency for decarbonization will result in demand rebalancing in the medium term and decline in the longer run. The oil and gas ecosystem will have to reconfigure based on these changing demand patterns and actions of governments and regulators and investors' preference. Well, at regular intervals, Prime Minister Modi has articulated his vision for the Indian energy sector. These include the need to reduce import dependence in crude oil by 10%, increasing the share of gas in India's energy supply basket, cleaner use of fossil fuels and promoting biofuels, moving to emerging fuels and promoting digital innovation across the energy value chain. So all these things, his vision has been put into action through a series of policy measures. So this has to really reflect into a kind of happening which would ensure a kind of a real usage for the consumers across the country. And well, this brings us to the end of the big story of the day. So keep watching CVR English news channel. This is Sudhakar Sharma signing off. Thank you.